Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Creativate Live on Facebook and on YouTube. Today, I am Kathy Fromme, your Creativate educator today. Welcome, everyone. Love to find out where you're all from. And you know what? Maybe also share something favorite in your software because we'd like to know what interests you. Now, today I have a particular topic planned. It's Project in the Hoop. But we're always looking for new ideas. And believe me, the education team is already working on 2026's planned lives and events and all of that good stuff. So we could use your input. So let's get started. All right, Amy, if you would switch my camera over to our software, that'd be fabulous. Thank you. And Amy is in the background. She's going to go through any questions you have. Please put those in the chat. And then she'll feed the questions on to me. And like always, if we need to research something, we will be happy to research that and get back to you with a comment in our live. All of our lives are recorded and you can come back and watch them. So if there's a particular step you need to see again, you can watch our replay on either of our formats, either on Facebook or YouTube. And then you can have, continuous education 24/7, whatever time of day works best for you. So I'm now in my Creativate software. So let me just let you all know, Creativate used to be called My Sonnet Embroidery Software. So now we have a new name. It's really the same software as far as embroidery software goes, but we've added quite a few things to our apps. Our apps have become far more streamlined, much easier to use, much more powerful. Today, I'm not working on the app at all. I'm working within the embroidery software modules. It's still called Creativate Embroidery, but if you're, confused about My Sonnet, it's the same thing, just getting used to a name change. Okay. All right. Got that out of the way for everyone. So I am working in our middle level, which is our extra level of Creativate, along with the name change between My Sonnet and Creativate. We had some level name changes. So we now have memberships. We also still sell the product that you can buy once and own it forever, as long as you have a computer that it works on. So we do have different named levels. I'm working in the middle level today. That is now called Extra. It used to be called Gold. Okay. Anything you find in the middle level is, of course, available in your top level, which is Elite or Platinum. So just again, clarification of where we're working at. So I'm on my main screen of my software, and I'm going to be on my Create tab here at the top. And now I have all kinds of options open. Right in the middle of the screen looks kind of like a star that's emerging called Project in the Hoop. So I'm going to click on that. Now, this is one of our many wizards that you find in our software. And let me explain a little bit about how wizards work. When you have a wizard, it asks you questions essentially, and you get to choose from different options within the wizard within each step. Based on what you put in is what it gives you out. Okay, so we're going to take this just step by step and let you know that the Project in the Hoop has a number of different topics. There are actually 12 different categories, I should say, of projects in the Hoop. We can do book covers. We can create cards. We have a card holder. This would be sized to hold a gift card. We have our Christmas ornaments, coasters, key rings, luggage tags, novelties. The novelties are like little stuffy animals. I know you've seen all the educators have geckos we carry around with us. So the gecko is in there. We have a passport cover, a pencil case, and that pencil case comes in two sizes. A phone case. The phone case can be sized to meet different phone needs. And then we have pouches, which are zipper pouches, and they come in multiple sizes as well. So a lot of different areas in Project in the Hoop. I've got a couple non-ornament samples I'm going to show you later, but I'm going to focus on how everything works with ornaments today. So I'm going to select Christmas ornament and then click next. And you'll see I have a new pop-up with a drop-down that says style. And when I click on that drop-down, I have a lot of choices: bell, candy cane, gingerbread man, Rudolph, snowflake, 3 types of stars, a stocking, and a tree. So those are my different options. And I'm just going to go through a couple of them for you. I'm going to show you a tree. All right, here's our tree. Now we have instructions on how you actually assemble this at your machine. So to see that, just click on View PDF Instructions, and a overview sheet will come up for each category. So there's a instruction sheets for each of those 12 categories I showed you earlier. This is the Christmas ornament one, obviously. Here's pretty pictures of all of our different ornaments you can do. The overview, gives you your information on what you need before you get started. I'll come back and review all of that process with you. And then just to show you, it does give you step-by-steps, your overview on how this particular project works, what stabilizer to use, how the stitch outs happen. And this one is showing you a placement line, and then laying your fabric on and stitching out. We're getting way ahead of ourselves here. How to assemble this, and then how to fill it and add a ribbon, and then we have a finished project. So just wanted to show you that the instructions are right within the software. You don't have to go anyplace else to see those instructions. So you may, of course, save that. It is a PDF. It can be saved to your computer. You could view it once you have it saved and downloaded, you could view it at another time. You could print it if you're so inclined to print, so that you always have the instructions. But they're right there. They'll pop up anytime you want to go into it. All right, I'm going to click Finish. And have to give it just a minute to think here there we go. When we're on live, sometimes our software takes a little bit to kick in. And here is our project already done for us. Isn't that fast? So now, Amy, I know it's really early in our live, but just want to check if there's any starter questions out before I go into details.
I don't have a question, but I did have somebody say, so this is an idea for everybody, that she makes these ornaments in the hoops, but then adds catnip and makes some cat toys instead of ornaments. I thought that was brilliant.
That is brilliant. That's great. Fabulous. Thanks for sharing that. So this particular design here on screen, this is our tree. You see that there's a side A here at the bottom and side B at the top. It's going to stitch both the front and the back at the same time, through the embroidery process. And then at some point, there will be a stop command in our design, and then we are actually going to take the hoop off. We're going to trim 3 sides of our B side or our bottom side, and then we're going to fold it so that we're matching front and back together and stitched up. Don't worry, I've got one all staged ready to go for you a little later on in the program that will make a lot more sense. But I wanted to show you, here on screen what you're seeing. You're seeing a front and a back, okay, with all of our ornaments. Your colors over here are, the gray is just a positioning line, and then the second gray, sorry, I'm My mouse is really being sluggish. There we go. And then color 3 is the actual decoration. In this case, the little string of little Christmas balls or Christmas lights, whatever you'd like to interpret those to be. The stops are built into each of the color changes as needed. So your machine is actually going to come up and say, stop in design, and then tell you what to do about it. Okay. Now, I know that some of you will be wondering, well, what machine do I need to be able to use this part of the software? First of all, I want to remind everyone that Creativate Embroidery Software can be used by any embroidery machine out there, any brand, doesn't matter, because we can export our designs in all the different formats needed for home embroidery machines. And we even have a couple commercial formats to do, like a 10 needle machine that you can export to as well. What I want to caution you against is that it may depend on the project you choose as the size hoop that you need. Most of these Christmas ornaments are in this size range. This tree is 100 millimeters across by 160 tall. So that fits in many of our embroidery machines that we have with our brands, Husqvarna, Viking, and Pfaff. So some of the projects do take more hoop space. So that's going to be your consideration as to what machine you need to stitch out. I haven't made anything that's a preset size of any of the types of projects that is larger than 360 by 200 millimeters in size. So that takes us like our Topaz 50 machines, our new Designer Topaz 65 machine has that same size hoop. Our new Creative Expression 750 has that same size hoop. So I haven't found anything that needs something bigger based on a project that's already loaded to the machine and stitched out at the default size. Okay. All righty. Now, I want to show you a couple of different things about the design. I'm going to change my design on screen. So I'm just going to delete my tree off, and I want to get you a different ornament here. So just come back again to my project in the hoop and my ornaments, click next. And this time I do want to show you the bell, because I want to show you that you can do add a little creativity of your own to these designs. Now, for my visual sake and your visual sake, I'm going to rotate this design in the hoop so I'm not having to turn my head sideways. Okay, so I'm going to just move over to my home tab. I'm going to just go to change hoop, and I simply want to change the orientation to rotated. And then I'm going to, my design is selected. I've got my boxes around it. I'm going to rotate it twice using the 45-degree rotation so that I'm seeing it like as you normally would see it. All right, so the left side is our front now, and our right side is our back. You can see that the design is all similar, and part of this design is an applique for the band here at the top, and the circle at the top is an applique fabric. Of course, if you didn't want to do an applique fabric, just keep in mind that whatever fabric you choose for your base is going to be what will be seen through there. But let's take this and customize it a little bit for us. Perhaps you'd like to make an ornament, like to celebrate this year or to celebrate a person. So wouldn't it be nice to be able to add the year 2025 in here? Or you could put something like baby's first Christmas, or perhaps for a newly engaged couple, you could put their names, something like that. Anything that you would like to do to personalize this ornament could work out pretty nice for that option. So on the side in my film strip over here, I can tell that things are grouped together. So I'm going to ungroup this, and oops, I guess it's not. I'm sorry, I used a poor example. This one is not grouped, so that actually makes life easier to customize this one. We won't have to layer it into the right space or stitch out order. It will stitch out just fine. So let's go up to lettering, and I'm going to choose, I'm just going to put the year 2025, and we'll start off with the default size, which is pretty small here. And I will zoom up into this area I want to work with for you. There we go, 2025. Now, that's fine. That actually size is not bad. Did you know that if you don't particularly like that font, you don't have to start all over again? Anytime you're working with a line of letters and you still have a green corners on your lettering, you can right click on the design and go into edit lettering. And from here, you could choose a different font. Perhaps you want a similar font, but maybe you want a lighter style. This particular one, Valentino, comes in a lighter style as well. Or perhaps you want something that's more of a block style, or just, whatever your personal preference is. I kind of like the Valentina, so I'm going to keep it the same. But what I don't like about it, let me move that over to the side, is it's very straight and very rigid. And I have like a curve here to my bell shape. So I want to come in and change the shape. And I want to see, well, I don't have every shape I can change it to here, but I have several. So let's do a circle. Let's do a full circle and say, okay. And now you see that my letters are on a full circle. I can adjust this by changing out my my green pixel there. Now I can't seem to get it again. No matter where I click, I can't get it. That's where the film strip comes in handy. I can't live without this wonderful film strip. So when I select the letters on the film strip, it lets me then move this back out again. And so then I can reposition this. I keep losing it. So there we go. Grab the wrong one, everyone. Hold on just a minute. There we go. Oh, maybe I'd do better to move my background to my, let's do that. All right, so there's 2025. It's okay. I still don't really like it. So I'm just going to undo a few times until I get back to something that I like. And my computer is slow. We're just going to do a quick delete there. And I'm going to show you that you do have more shapes at the top here. You have 29 envelope styles or shapes here. And the shape that I would like to try to use for this spell is one called Arc Under. And I also want to add a little bit of gap in my letters. So I know we're making Christmas ornaments, but I want to show you a couple other things. Here we go. That's much nicer. That's much nicer. That arc pretty much matches the curve of my bell. I am going to come in though and do a little editing and increase the size. Let's test out a size 16 font and see how I like that. Oh, that fills the space quite nicely. All right, I'm going to zoom back out so you can see the main picture. And then how about on the back, we could put, someone's name, or we could put in Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or whatever you'd like to do. So I wanted to share with you that just because there are, set ornament styles doesn't mean you have to stay with a particular exact as it comes out of the box, so to speak. There is some room for customization. Something else I want to share with you is if you right click onto the background design. So I'm on the bell, not the numbers, is that many of the ornaments have interesting properties. So there's applique fabric 1 and 2. So if I wanted to preview a different applique fabric, let me see what, just because I know it'll show up better on screen, this pinkish purple will show up, what that looks like. That's my background fabric. So that was applique fabric 1. And let me change applique fabric 2. Maybe I'd like that part to be a white. So I can say okay on here, give it a minute to recalculate. And that's showing you what the applique portions are. Before it looked all the same, right? So again, this will help you determine some options that you can change. If we right click again, I have these multi-wave fills. I have alignment of the fills. I have spiral fill, motif fill, double stitch, running stitch. When I have choices here, this means I can make some changes. So I'm going to go into spiral fill, and I'm going to change my density. Let's change it significantly so that you can see the change on screen. And so that affected this bottom section here. My stitching is not as dense. Okay, you can choose to like that or not like it. Great thing is we have that undo button, saves me so much time, and that I can go in and experiment with different things. Let's go to a motif line. Let's see what we have for that. Okay, this is our bean stitch. This is our stitch that goes around the outside edge of our design when it's finished. It's kind of hard to see, but it is this heavier line of stitching. We see it in parts on the back piece, but then we see it on the outer perimeter of this design here where it's going to sew it together. Okay. So those are some changes that you could make to this particular ornament. Amy, any questions?
Yes, we do have a question. Somebody's asked concerning the lettering. What's the difference between gap and or spacing?
So basically they're the same thing, and gap, it refers to the space between each letter or number in how our fonts are set up or our lettering is set up. Spacing, a lot of people would use that word to mean the same thing as spacing. I also kind of use spacing in layout of multiple lines, and that is where I would do over on the side here. If I had multiple lines of text, then that's the space between each line. So sometimes people use the word spacing when they're actually talking about the actual letters or numbers within a word, and it's not the correct term. Gap is the correct term for that. Spacing has to do with multiple lines. Okay.
That's the only question I see so far, Kathy.
Okay, perfect. All right, then let's go ahead and move on. All righty, I wanted to show you, let me think here, what my next one was going to be. Yes. I'm going to delete this one because that purple just is kind of, I know that purple can be a great color for holidays to decorate in, but it's just not my personality. So I'm going to come back here to Christmas ornaments and do next and pick, let's pick our Rudolph. Is awfully cute. I kind of like Rudolph. I do have a stitched out Rudolph. However, he is packed away in my actual personal Christmas decorations, and it's still too warm to go up into the attic space and get that out. So sorry you don't get to see Rudolph this time. All right, I will fix my hoop because I am out of my hoop. So let me just rotate my hoop back to natural. There we go. There we go. There's our Rudolph. So something I wanted to point out to you, if you had picked up on this already, is that in our project here, the boxes are green around everything I've brought up so far. And if you remember back to some of our other lessons, if you have green boxes around a frame, a super design, lettering, anything like that, the flourishes fall into that category as well. When you have a green box around the outside, that means that the stitches can be resized without going into resize. What that means is that you get a better stitch out when you change a size of something while the boxes are green. Once you fix the stitches, your boxes will turn white. So if I were to just right click and fix those stitches, my boxes are now white. And if I wanted to resize this, I'd actually have to go into my resize program where it's going to kind of reverse engineer how to resize this design. I will get much better results if I resize while my boxes are still green. So take note over here, I have 7,228 stitches. I know that's hard to read there in my Rudolph design, but I want to make Rudolph a little bit bigger. So I'm going to just drag on my corner, anyone in my corner, and I'm going to just kind of make him, see how I can stretch it out. I can give him a different shape. So I could have a whole different types of reindeer in my little collection. Now, I didn't do anything particular. I just dragged my boxes in and out. If I wanted to keep my proportions, I'm going to do an undo for you. I would want to hold my shift key down as I change my design so that I have total proportions. And I've just made that bigger. I have a little bit more room in this size hoop. I'm using the 240 by 150 hoop. We can go ahead and change that hoop up and make it even bigger. So if you have a machine that says, let's say it takes a 260 by 200 hoop, we have a lot more space here. We can make Rudolph a lot bigger. Now, I do strongly suggest before you know, if you're going to make 20 of these Rudolphs in this big size, test one just to make sure you're happy with all of the changes, that nothing odd happened in your stitch out. I haven't had anything odd happen in my stitch out when I've changed sizes. But you might want to consider what the satin columns are here. This is it's actually a little bit of a fill pattern 3 for his antlers. I have made those antlers quite a bit larger than initially planned. So maybe I want to give those antlers a different look. And we'll just pick something unique so we can see that change. You see how it changed that satin to like a pattern fill? I kind of actually like that one. That would be an area I would watch for. Any of the ornaments that have a satin area, if you make them quite a bit larger, your satin stitches might end up being a little loopy. We try not to go over, keep satin stitches to like a 7 to 9 millimeter range. If it's getting much bigger than that, go ahead and put even a plain pattern in there. Will really help that stitch out to stitch out better. Okay, so there is our enlarged Rudolph. So we can make things smaller and bigger. Now, if you get them too small, they're a little hard to stuff with stuffing if you want to actually make a 3D ornament, but you can do that. I have also played around with the idea. I'm going to rotate Rudolph here around so we can see his face. I've also played around a little bit with more advanced stitch editing in eliminating the like back side of the ornaments, and instead turning just the face side of the ornament into an applique. I would actually applique onto something else. Maybe I want to decorate a sweatshirt or a tree skirt or a gift bag. I really like this Rudolph, but I don't want to make him into a 3D ornament, but I really like his face and I'd like to use that. So that would be a whole other class, because we'd have to, work with our applique tools as well. But just think about, you're not limited to what is right in front of you all the time. All right, so I told you we'd come back. So I'm going to just change my hoop back to my hoop I have on my machine. Amy, any questions while I get reset here?
I'm not seeing any questions. You're good to go.
All right, fabulous. So I'm just going to bring up my ornament again. Again, just go to Project in the Hoop. It's on the Create tab. Click Ornament, click Next, and I'm going to choose my gingerbread man. There he is. Okay, so I actually have my gingerbread man. Amy, if you could switch just back to me. Here's my little gingerbread man that I stitched earlier. Okay. He did not get stuffed and he didn't get a ribbon on him yet. I could still put a ribbon on him, but I so did Shut the stuffing. So I'm like, well, okay, we have a flat gingerbread man. But he's really cute. So you can see his frosting on the back side as well. All right. So there's our little gingerbread man. And I'm going to put him back aside. We can switch back to the software, please. Thank you. And there we go. I'm going to show you these step-by-steps again. There we go. To move my little AI assistant. It keeps wanting to help me, and I really don't want help from him. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the construction process of how the ornaments go together. So first of all, you need a stabilizer. You need something in your hoop. And what is recommended is to use a wash away stabilizer or a light cutaway stabilizer in your hoop. I've used the Aqua Magic type stabilizer, and one layer has been plenty for doing these ornaments. I've stitched my ornaments on felt for you today. I have in the past also used cork and vinyl, and all of those fabrics are fairly stable. And so one layer of Aqua Magic has been plenty to work with as far as a stabilizer goes. You would trim around your ornament, and then you don't have to actually dunk your ornament in water to get rid of any little edge that you might see. Simply take a Q-tip and put it in water, or get your finger wet and then rub it around the outside edges, and that stabilizer, any Aqua Magic that's left, will just dissolve away. So recommended stabilizers would either be a lightweight cutaway or an Aqua Magic. In some of the instructions, I do find they suggest a fusible cutaway works as well. I haven't had a need for fusible cutaway in anything I've done at this point, but know that option is there as well. Okay. And this particular project in the Hoop, our raw edge, we don't turn anything inside out. So these are raw edge ornaments. So you need to use materials that won't fray, such as vinyls, faux leathers, felt. Like I said, cork works really well. That's my Rudolph is made out of cork, and he turned out very cute. There's so many different novelty vinyls out there today that you could have a lot of fun making the ornaments. You could, if you are okay with a raw edge look, you could use a woven fabric. Just know that the edges are going to be, they'll start to fray. I actually was thinking about making some stars out of denim, because I think a frayed edge on a denim star could be a lot of fun for a Christmas ornament. So, feel free to experiment. You're going to hoop your stabilizer in a hoop that fits your design. I do recommend, because of the construction process, that you only do one ornament at a time. I have done multiples in a hoop, and it gets a little dicey when you go to cut it and fold it. It's just easier to just do one at a time. And then again, something we always recommend is use the hoop that best fits your embroidery file. So use the smallest hoop that works for your design. The first color block that'll stitch is going to be the just a placement line. So you see that here on the star sample in the PDF. And then you place your fabric on the front side of your hoop, the top side of your hoop. And you want to make sure you have enough fabric to cover all of the previous stitching. If you feel that you need to secure the fabric in place, you can use painter's tape or an adhesive tape. You could use pins. I wouldn't use pins with vinyl. When I've done it with felt, I've used felt for stitching. I don't need anything to lay my felt on my hoop. I can just stitch away. It's very, very stable. And then continue stitching. All right, so next page here. So the left side is going to show you that color block has stitched the outline line. This stitching line that stitches on your left side, that's actually going to be the trim line that you're going to cut on when your ornament is done. So a couple schools of thought there. You could do a bright contrast color to your background fabric color, so it's easy to see, or you could use a color that blends in really well. So if you don't quite get on the line, the thread doesn't matter. Okay, so your choice. I've done both. So that step will happen. And then the next step, this will vary a little bit based on which ornament you have selected. It may have some applique features to it, or could just have decorative stitching to it, but it's going to stitch out all of those features. If you've added anything to your ornament, like in the bell where I added a date, then it would stitch last as far as how it's laid in the hoop. So you would have to move up in the hoop the color change for the lettering. I always make whatever I add in a really unique color so that I know I can bump that up and do my lettering. I have a Christmas stocking I'll show you in just a minute I did in the hoop. So this is the part that can look a little confusing and nice. So I do have a sample here. I'll switch over to machines in just a minute, but let me explain it first. Is the first step here is showing you the back of your hoop. So you see the wrong side of your front and your back. And then in section 2, you're cutting around the left side, the top, and the right-hand side of side B, or the bottom. Okay, you don't cut. There is a stitching line here in the middle. You don't cut that stitching line. Okay, that is our fold line. Again, we're still looking at the back of the hoop. If we move to step 3, we can see that we have now folded our stitched side B. So we're seeing the nice side of it, and we're aligning it so that we can secure it in place. We can, again, secure it with tape or pins, whatever works best for your fabric. Okay. And so this is the process that I wanted to show you in real life. So I need to come back to me, and let me come over to my screen here. Amy, it'll just take me a second to switch my camera. All righty. And let's go to 4. Whoops. Well, that's a nice view, isn't it? There we go. All right, so I'm at the part of my design. On my screen, it says that I have a stop command in my design. I'm going to reach in here and take the tube off so you can see it. So I have stitched all my steps up until the final stop command in design, and it has stitched a little bit of a heavy edge across the top piece because that's where it's going to stay open, where this bracket is for stuffing. So it's already giving me my pretty top stitching here. And I have cut two sides. I've cut my side and my top, but I've not cut this side. Okay, so I'm going to switch you over here to my workspace and show you what I found works well. Make sure you're in, you can see. And Amy, I think I'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. So I pre-cut these two pieces for you to save time. And I have my rotary mat down, and I have a smallish ruler. Something that fits inside your hoop is ideal because then you're not like trying to rotary cut with it above a hoop edge. There are these corner brackets here that are stitched in. I like to trim about 1/4 inch outside of those brackets because those are my matching areas. And I cut starting at the stitch line up to the top. So I'm just going to put my ruler on here, and you'll have to just excuse my arm that you're going to see. Just cut up on that. So now I have my side B is free. Okay. So we're going to turn the hoop over, just like in the picture there, and fold this down on the line. Okay, let me get you back in the frame. Whoops. And I have some tape handy here. I can use a straight pin to ensure that my corner brackets are matching. So what I do is I stick a pin in one on the top side that I can see, and stick a pin in the bottom. I mean, this is something I use, I used all the time in garment sewing when I had to match dots, that were on two separate pieces of fabric. You just take something and I'm laying it straight in to hold that in place. Put some tape on it. Now, in real life, if I were going to continue stitching this, I would check my other spot as well. I'm just going to jump ahead here. I can feel safe in putting a pin like outside my gingerbread man. So that, because I know I'm not going to be stitching like in this area where this pin is. Back at my machine, I have changed my bobbin thread to match my top thread. Okay, that's important because we are going to see the bobbin thread on the back side. So we want to make sure it's a color that we like. I did use a traditional 60 weight bobbin thread for my decorative stitching, for doing the outline and the frosting and all that, and then just switch to a filled bobbin with matching color for this last step. So I'm going to just clip my hoop back on here. There we go. And then my machine is ready to roll to go ahead and do the final step. So I would just need to press my start button, and then it's going to do all my stitching to hold my layers together.
So we do have a question about this, Kathy.
Okay, great.
Somebody is worried that it's going to shift now that there is a big hole in the stabilizer.
I'm glad somebody asked that because hopefully you'll remember some of my advice earlier. You can switch back to me. Or maybe I have to change that back. I have to change.
You have to do that one.
Yep. There we go. We're back to me now. So remember a little bit of advice I gave you earlier. One was to use the smallest hoop that'll fit your design. And that really helps. If you've used your biggest hoop to do a little tiny design, you're going to have a lot more, area, that might be open. I just use the smallest hoop. I've actually never had one shift on me. I guess I knock on wood. I've been very fortunate. I do take more time than I just took with you now to match those marks. And I don't rely just on those 2 corner marks. I will also find a couple areas, maybe like the top of the head or the bottom of a foot or whatever, and stick a pin in and make sure I'm seeing that pin is going through the same exact place, both top and bottom. You can use as much tape as you want on it. You can sew through the painter's tape without a problem. And it turns out really well. One nice thing is that the line that you see on the outside that's your cutting line, and the stitching line is going to be inside of that about 1/4 of an inch. So it's not like you're matching something up perfectly. So if there's a little bit of slippage, it really isn't that big of a deal. Okay. I've never had anything ruined by that. So the other thing is if you are having to use a bigger hoop, use your hoop clips the metal clips that'll help to keep your hoop intact, keeps it tighter. So yeah, I know it's a little scary at first stitching with a big hole in it, but that's how a lot of Project in the Hoop is done. So any other questions?
No other questions.
Okay. All right. So then let me flip back to here we go. Make sure we cover all the steps here. So here was the back side is taped on the back of the hoop. And then on the front side, when you're done, and I think I stitched, no, I have, hold on, let me grab, just out of reach here. So as you can see in the picture here, step 4, there's like a tab at the top or the side of the star there, and that's where the opening is. And so you can use that to stuff your ornament. And then you can put a ribbon in there as well. And in step 5, they do show that nasty hand needle. Believe me, I just stitched them together on the sewing machine. I already have a bobbin and matching thread going. So I just, change my foot real quick and stitch those by machine. And then you can trim away any of your leftover parts. So let's see here. Amy, do you want to come back to me, please? Thank you. So here is a Christmas tree that I have not closed yet. So you can see the opening here. This side is the front side. This one's the back side. Had to look closely, but I'm holding a chopstick because it's to remind me the hole on these to stuff. It's not very big. So if you take little wads of fiber fill or stuffing or scraps of batting or whatever you want to use to fill this, just poke them in with the chopstick and you can get into your corners. This one also isn't trimmed out precisely. I just did a rough cut around this one to show you, but I did make a big one. So this was this side is my original, and then this is the larger one. So you can see how that is turned. And I still have to do some stuffing on this one's not stuffed either. And then I'll do some final trimming. I like to do my final trimming after I stuff. It gives me more to hold on to. Personal preference, it's not recommended. Doesn't say you have to. And then you can see the little bit of white. Once I have this a final trim, I'll just either get my finger wet and go around the edge or use a Q-tip to kind of get rid of any of that stabilizer that still shows. Okay, so we have that. And then here's my Christmas stocking. So on my Christmas stocking, I added my name at the top. I have to put a hanger on it yet to hang it, but have that one. And I think, and here's my gingerbread man. So I told you my Rudolphs they're packed with my actual Christmas decorations yet. So we need a little bit cooler temperature here yet to get into the attic. It's almost at that right temperature, isn't it, Amy?
Soon.
Soon, yes. All righty. So any other questions about how the ornament is assembled or how it goes? And hopefully you saw that there are some ability to really be creative with it. You can, customize it, put names or dates or letters or change the fill patterns and things to make them your own. So they don't have to be the exact ornaments that the software makes it. You have some choices.
I'm not seeing any other questions, Kathy.
Okay, so then I want to take them to the website and show them our free project. So let's see, here we go. All right, so I have for you today, let me just grab my I'm just gonna leave that there. Okay, sorry guys. This is our creativate.com website, and on our page, I want to get to the holiday things. So I already have that one saved. Let me switch. I bookmarked this page so I could easily find it. But how you find it is under Inspire, and then Holiday Collection is where I found it. So I was just trying to save a little time. This pretty lace Christmas star, isn't this nice? So this is one of our inspiration projects. When you select that design or click on that picture, that image, you'll see a bigger picture of it and the design information about it. Why I wanted to share with you is that we do have we have quite a few free embroidery designs within Creativate. And this is one of them for the holidays. This is a free design. That star is made up of a design that's shaped like this. And you notice that it's free. You can put it in your vault. You can download it, or you can send it to either software or a connected machine if you have a connected machine. But because it's free, you can download it. And remember I said earlier that our software lets you work with all the home sewing formats. Well, when we offer a free design, we offer it in multiple formats as well, not just our native format, but we do have these other formats as well. So for all of you out there who want to make a nice, pretty lace Christmas star, we have a free option for you. And you can download your choice of design. And I'm going to scroll just a little bit further and show you where to find instructions on how to make this, because it started out as one piece, one element. But we have, again, on all of our Creativate projects, I love that we now have downloadable PDFs. No longer do we have to try to take screen captures of them and all kinds of things to get the instructions. They've listened to your requests and my request and Amy's request to just make the instructions available as PDFs. And they have done that. They've done a beautiful job. So this is an example of one of them. Talks about the tools that you need, all the materials you need to do it, and how step by step. This is a software lesson that you can go to the creativate.com site, download the embroidery file, and then download these instructions. And then you have a very nice step-by-step how to make this star. It is very easy. It uses something called Encore. We've done many demos and lives using Encore. So we basically take one piece and we ask it to add up to 5 on a circle. We draw that circle in here. And then here gets to be the thing you need to think about is this star is pretty big. So it fits really nicely in a hoop that's 260 millimeters wide. However, the instructions are written for a 200 millimeter hoop, which does have you resize the design just a little bit. And it's enough that it's not going to affect the quality of the design at all to resize it. It will recalculate the stitch count for you. And you will have to tilt your star a little bit to get it to fit in a 200 millimeter hoop, but it can be done. I've done it. And then it takes you through combining it, color sorting it, and then removing overlapping stitches and extremely dense stitches. So it goes into a little bit of detail, but I promise you, it takes you step by step. Not a thing is missing in these instructions on how to do it. And Amy, if you'll switch back to me, I have my little board here. So here's our board. Here is what one of those elements looks like stitched out. Now, I was telling Amy earlier when we were getting ready, I had already stitched out my components. This embroidery file has been around for a while, and it's actually originally made a dimensional star where you sewed it together and it made like a 3D star that was kind of pointy. I know it's hard to see, but I found my stitch files are still on my Aqua Magic. I would sew all my pieces together and it's going to make kind of a little bevel in the front. So you can kind of see how that would turn out. But Michael's wonderful instructions to just make a nice flat star work really well too. And here I don't have to sew anything together by machine later on. It's all stitched together in the hoop for me. And on the photograph, in the instructions, they put a little bit of a lace motif or a pretty gilded button. Personally, I'd find like some sort of gemstones or rhinestones, some hot fix crystals, and put a big crystal right in the middle, and then do some other crystals on the different arms of the star to bling that up a little bit for the holidays. So that is our free project for you for this session. Any questions before we sign off, Amy?
Someone has asked if the star can be resized smaller, but I think you went ahead and answered that already.
It can be, yes. They recommend using the 200 millimeter wide hoop, so you're bringing it down just a small amount, maybe like 5 to 7%, I think, is about what it turns out to be. You're just making it fit in the hoop, basically. It almost fits in a 200. It just sticks out a little tiny bit, so it can be resized. Again, that was stitched on. Now for lace, I always use 2 layers of Aqua Magic, not 1 layer, but 2, because this is even, it's still kind of dense. And I left a lot of Aqua Magic in it to make it stiff, because then I can shape it when I decide how I'm going to use it on a future project. Okay. So if there aren't any other questions, I want to remind you of our next live, which will be our Creativate Live on Wednesday, November the 12th. And you said that's with Janie, correct?
It is with Janie Lance. Yep.
Janie Lance, perfect. She's so creative. I've known her for years and years, and it's fun when we get together. We can we just bounce ideas off of each other. She's going to be talking about cut work. So that'll be an exciting topic. So again, if you have any questions or you're watching this recorded and you have a question, do pop a question into the comments and we'll take a look at those probably in the next week or so and try to get you answers. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye.